like to chant the verse?
Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Param Brahma Param Dhama
Param Brahma Param Dhama
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Parabrahma Param Dhama
Param Brahma Param Dhama
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Param Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Param Brahma Param Dhama
Param Brahma Param Dhama
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Ladies?
Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Go ahead.
Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Param Brahma Param Dhama
Param Brahma Param Dhama
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Pavitram Paramam Bhavan
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Purusham Shashvatam Divyam
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Adidevam Ajam Vibhum
Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna said,
Arjuna said
Param,
Param
supreme,
Supreme
Brahma,
Brahma
truth,
Truth
Param,
Param
supreme,
Supreme
Dhamma,
Dhamma
sustenance,
Sustenance
Pavitram,
Pavitram
pure,
Pure
Paramam,
Paramam
supreme,
Supreme
Bhavan, you,
You
Purusham,
Purusham
personality,
Personality
Shashvatam,
Shashvatam
original,
Original
Divyam,
Divyam
transcendental,
Transcendental
Adidevam,
Adidevam
the original Lord,
The original Lord
Ajam,
Ajam
unborn,
Unborn
Vibhum,
Vibhum
great,
Great
excuse me. So now this is part 2, but we'll read the translation and purport, or text 12, 13. Arjuna said, not responsive. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. Purport. In these 2 verses, the Supreme Lord gives a chance to the modern philosopher, for here it is clear that the Supreme is different from the individual soul. Arjuna, after hearing the essential 4 verses of Bhagavad Gita in this chapter, became completely free from all doubts and accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He at once boldly declares, "You are Param Brahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And previously Krishna stated that he is the originator of everything and everyone. Every demigod and every human being is dependent on him. Men and demigods, out of ignorance, think that they are absolute and independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That ignorance is removed perfectly by the discharge of devotional service. This has already been explained in the previous verse by the Lord. Now, by His grace, Arjuna is accepting Him as the supreme truth in concordance with the Vedic injunction. It is not that because Krishna is Arjuna's intimate friend, Arjuna is flattering him by calling him the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth. Whatever Arjuna says in these two verses is confirmed by Vedic truth. The Vedic injunctions affirm that only one who takes to devotional service to the Supreme Lord can understand him, whereas others cannot. Each and every word of this verse spoken by Arjuna is confirmed by Vedic injunction. And then he starts making a little list without the Sanskrit. In the Kena Upanishad, it is stated that the Supreme Brahman is the rest for everything, and Krishna has already explained that everything is resting on him. The Mundaka Upanishad confirms that the Supreme Lord, in whom everything is resting, can be realized only by those who engage constantly in thinking of him. This constant thinking of Krishna is smaranam, one of the methods of devotional service. It is only by devotional service to Krishna that one can understand his position and get rid of this material body. Paragraph. In the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is accepted as the purest of the pure. One who understands that Krishna is the purest of the pure can become purified from all sinful activities. One cannot be disinfected from sinful activities unless he surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. Arjuna's acceptance of Krishna as the supreme pure complies with the injunctions of the Vedic literature. This is also confirmed by great personalities, of whom Narada is the chief. Two more paragraphs. Krishna, notice how many times, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and one should always meditate upon him and enjoy one's transcendental relationship with him. He is the supreme existence. He is free from bodily needs, birth and death. Not only does Arjuna confirm this, but all the Vedic literatures, the Puranas and histories in all Vedic literatures, Krishna is thus described. And the Supreme Lord himself also says in the 4th chapter, although I am unborn, I appear on this earth to establish religious principles. He is the supreme origin. He has no cause, for he is the cause of all causes, and everything is emanating from him. This perfect knowledge can be had by the grace of the Supreme Lord. And the final paragraph. Here Arjuna expresses himself through the grace of Krishna. If we want to understand Bhagavad Gita, we should accept the statements of these two verses. This is called the Parampara system, acceptance of the disciplic succession. Unless one is in the disciplic succession, he cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. It is not possible by so-called academic education. Unfortunately, those proud of their academic education, despite so much evidence in Vedic literature, stick to their obstinate conviction that Krishna is an ordinary person. So this Bhagavad Gita in general is a series of questions and answers. The Puranic texts and the Itihasas, the other histories, they're largely questions and answers. That's the format. And prior to this verse, this isn't really a question, it's leading to a desire of Arjuna to hear Krishna's vibhutis. That's the title of the chapter, Vibhuti Yoga, or opulences of the Absolute. But previous to this, there's not this large section where there's no questions and answers. Well, there's answers, but there's no questions being presented. Krishna's revealing himself. He's revealing truths about himself, including, as was just stated, a summary of his vibhutis, his opulences. A little summary. So this is a bridge leading to Arjuna requesting Krishna to expand in describing his opulences, so that he can always remember him. That's the reason he wants to hear them. Ways in which I can always remember you. The context again of this is having described Manmana Bhavavad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru, the last verse of the 9th chapter. Krishna is now going to invoke Arjuna to ask for ways by which he can always Manmana and Madbhakta. So he's disclosing truths about himself that it's beyond the position of the friendship. In the friendship between Krishna and Arjuna, they do all kinds of things. And what friends do with friends, like what friends do with friends. But the superior position of Krishna as the Shishyas Teham Shadimam Tam Prapanam, that he is the guru who's going to give instruction. So now Krishna's taking even more than the instruction position, he's taking, I'm the personality of Godhead. And that is, the whole of the Vedas are searching for that which is the source of everything, and Krishna's stating, I'm the source of everything. I'm the absolute truth. Who can say that? Krishna can say that. It's not self-flattery. And so in this verse, we're hearing Arjuna saying, the Vedas declare it, the sages declare the message of the Vedas, and now you're declaring it yourself. And I'm sold out. I accept. That's the next verse. I accept everything that yours said. Of course, he's Krishna's eternal devotee. He's eternal associate. So, therefore, it's important in the verse, the two verses, that Arjuna is making reference not just because of his relationship as Krishna's devotee and friend, but the Vedas declare it, and the great sages declare it. It's authoritative. Not just we're buddies and He's flattering Krishna, oh, you're the greatest. It's just confirming the Vedas, the great sages, and Krishna's statement. When you hear Srila Prabhupada speak, recordings of his speaking, this is an important, why do we accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of God? Why do we accept Krishna as God? Well, on the strength of the authorities. Many, many times Prabhupada would speak, the great acharyas. It's not whimsical. The great acharyas, the scriptures say. The scriptures say. So, we accept. Because that's within the beginning part of this 10th chapter. How can you know? You can't know by experimental method. You can't by reasoning and logic and by sense perception. You can't know what's beyond your senses. You can't know that which is beyond your reasoning faculty. You can know on the strength of authority. And we're just reading in the morning classes the darshan of Lord Narayana by the four Kumaras. They're seeing the personality of Godhead. And seeing is believing, right? They're seeing the personality. They've heard about the personality of Godhead from Brahma, and now they're seeing the personality of Godhead. So, Arjuna is seeing Krishna. He's hearing Krishna. He's accepting on the basis of authority. Important. It's the means of knowing. And there isn't another means of knowing. On the descending knowledge, aparushaya, beyond the fallibility of human nature, there's the aparushaya source of knowledge. And that's Krishna. And it's being confirmed in the verse. So there's several phrases that are emphasized in the purport here, and our acharyas also speak about. Param Brahma. Now, Brahma or Brahman can mean different things. In here, it's the absolute truth. Param, this is Vedanta is searching for, the Bhagavatam confirms, Param Satyam, or Param Brahma. This is Krishna. He's the supreme truth, he's the supreme absolute truth, he's the supreme reality. He's declared it in the text 8 of this chapter. And now Arjuna's stating it again. Param Brahma, Param Dhamma. Now we commonly understand Dhamma to be the abode of, like, the holy Dham, the transcendental abode of Krishna, or the transcendental abode of Lord Ramachandra, or the abode of the Supreme Lord, like Vaikuntha Dham. Here the word is being translated as that which sustains, because Krishna not only creates, or he's the source of everything, but he sustains everything. Vishnu sustains the material creation, and Krishna sustains everything. He is Param Dhamma. And Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. One becomes pure is proof that Krishna is the supreme pure, because one who associates with Krishna becomes pure. It's very logical. And it's factual. We become purified by associating with the supreme pure. Param Brahma Param Dhamma Pavitram Paramam. supremely pure, never contaminated. Supremely pure doesn't become contaminated. So even he descends, he doesn't become contaminated by the material atmosphere. He remains pure, and he purifies or sanctifies everything he comes in contact with. Purusham Shashvatam. Shashvatam. Original. One of my godbrothers is named Shashvata. Kind of an interesting, eccentric personality. Shashvata. Original. Anadi. Adi. Anadi, he who has no beginning, he is the original. He is the origin of everything. Anadi Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. That's Krishna's position. And there isn't a second. You know the rhetorical question, if God is the source of everything, what's the source of God? Well, if he's the source of everything, that means he's the source of everything. And there is nothing that he exists prior to him that he's the byproduct of, or the effect of. He's the original. Shashvatam. Divyam. Fully transcendental. There's from the same phrase, the Mahatma is one who takes shelter, Daivim Prakritim Ashrita. Mahatmanas Tamam Partha. You know that verse, Bhagavad Gita? You, with a green jacket. Have you learned some Bhagavad Gita verses? Not yet? Some. Do you remember one of them? Can you recite one of them? Right now. Can you do? No? You're too nervous. I caught you in the headlights. Sarvadharmam Parityaja. You know that one? 1.1. 1.1? Okay, I got kind of scared. I was something going on. Afterwards, when we're all done, later you can come and share a verse with me. Okay? We were having a grain ceremony. No, the writing ceremony for a little girl. And she panicked. She wouldn't even look at me. So I stood on the other side where she was looking away, and she went. And then I just got a letter today. Her father said, later the girl said, there were too many people. So later they came where everything was like cool and calm, and there was no problem at all. Some persons are a little shy, and some persons are the opposite. Give them an audience and they're acting. So back to Bhagavad Gita. Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adi Devam. Another name Prabhupada gave to a disciple, Adi Dev. Nice devotee. The original Deva. There's many Devas, and then there's the original Deva, the Deva of all Devas, the cause of all causes, the rest and support of everything. Adi Devam, Ajam, same, unborn. Brahma is also known by the name Aja, because Brahma wasn't born in the way living entities are normally born. He was born directly from the body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And to elaborate, Prabhupada would say, at the lotus feet of Garbhodaksha Vishnu is Lakshmi. She's there, Padasevana, worshipping his lotus feet. But he didn't require Lakshmi to assist him to produce their first child. From his own body, he produced, Garbhodaksha Vishnu produced Brahma. And thus, Aja, unborn. But he was born, although unborn in the ordinary sense. In the absolute sense, Krishna is Ajam, unborn, absolute sense. Ajam Vibhu, the greatest. In Bhavani Vijayabhusan's commentary, he takes this word greatest and cites one of the Upanishads, I can't remember which one in the phrase, but it's something like, it's translated something like Prabhupada's word asamordva. Have you heard Prabhupada's lectures where he speaks of Krishna's another name is asamordva? Try finding where that comes from. You'll find there's you won't find it. In those texts that are often quoted verses, that's one of them, and the source is unknown. But it's one of Krishna's names. Sama means equal, and you put the prefix a in front, and he has no equal. And Urdhva means greater, and there's no one greater. There's no one greater than or equal to him. Asamurdhva. So that's this Vibhum. He's the greatest. So Muhammad Ali was not the greatest. It's great, but not the greatest. Because even the great derives whatever capacity to be great from the greatest. And Krishna doesn't derive his capacity to be great from anyone. He's the greatest. These are important statements. They're important statements in the following manner, going back to text 8. This verse confirms text 8. Krishna states it, Arjuna is confirming it. Because one who knows Krishna's position becomes his devotee. Well, if they're honest. If you're dishonest, you can do all kinds of things. But if you're honest, you understand Krishna is the source of everything. You become his devotee. That's just boom, boom. So you want to become a nice devotee? Become more and more and more clear about Krishna. Who is Krishna? Krishna's position. Hear the glories of Krishna. That's what this chapter is. Vibhutis. What are vibhutis, by the way? It's a little science of what vibhutis are. I'll share that and I'm going to end. Vibhutis are opulences of Krishna in this world. In the Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto is a Bhagavatam class. The first canto, the first chapter of the first canto, there's 6 questions by the sages. And then the next 2 chapters are answers to those 6 questions. And one of those 6 questions is, please describe the forms of the Lord as they appear in this world. That's chapter 3 of Canto 1. And it starts with the Vishnu forms of the Lord, and they perform that function of manifesting the world, manifesting the cosmic creation. That's what Vishnu forms do. And then from those Vishnu forms come avatars of Vishnu, and they're listed. Krishna is then said to be the source of all of them. And then you can keep going on and you'll find vibhutis listed, because those are aspects of Krishna in this world, but they're superlative features of something of this world. That's what a vibhuti is. It's an opulence of this, I am that. It's the superlative of this category is such and such, that I am. It's not Krishna is a shark. Aquatics, I'm a shark. It's the superlative feature. It's a vibhuti. It's an opulence, because the material energy is also Krishna's energy. And amongst Krishna's energies in different categories, he is the superlative of that. It's just a reminder of Krishna. That's because that's the question that Arjuna is asking coming up. Is please describe ways in which I can always think of you. So vibhutis are ways to think of Krishna. Something that's just really superlative, really, really special. Krishna. For the devotee, that's what happens. It stimulates appreciation of Krishna. See, Krishna is providing us opportunities to always think of him by manifesting his vibhutis. Krishna is providing opportunity for us to remember him by sending avatars, by sending empowered persons, by giving his teachings, by performing attractive pastimes, by providing Bhagavad Gita to always remember Krishna. Arjuna states that right in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that when Krishna left, he was really devastated. But as he was remembering the kindness and the affection of Krishna upon Arjuna and the Pandavas, he then began remembering the instructions of Bhagavad Gita and then realized, aha, Krishna provided the means to always remember him by giving those nice instructions from Bhagavad Gita. And it's not that that's just meant for Arjuna and not for us, it's meant for us. So here we are, remembering Krishna. Just reading Prabhupada's purports, it's almost like reading a mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Little Prabhupada story. Devotees one time showed a newspaper article to Prabhupada where it was being critical. I can't remember what it was about. And Prabhupada read the article, but they read the article out loud and Prabhupada said, very good. And the devotee said, how come you're saying very good? They were speaking badly about Krishna consciousness. He said, just see how many times they said Krishna's name. They're getting purified. Krishna, 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 Krishna. I mean, there may be Shishupal's mentality. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. They're getting purified. In the Bhaktivedanta purports, just this one we read, some number of times, 10 times, 15 times, whatever, more, Krishna, Krishna, to help us remember Krishna, hearing his position, hearing his glories. Remembering Krishna is part of the process of bhakti. It's the byproduct of Shravanam Kirtan. So even if we don't fully understand, just hearing these sound vibrations, they're purifying. It's not Krishna speaking, it's Arjuna speaking about Krishna. That's just as good. Because he's speaking his realization. It's authoritative. Confirmed by the Vedas, confirmed by great sages. Purusham. Pavitram. We're becoming purified.
you want to say?
Okay. Any comments or questions?
Maharaj, my question is,
I'll repeat the question.
Param Brahma, here you mentioned that Brahman has different meanings. So here, what is the meaning in this verse, Maharaj?
I mentioned that the word Brahman can have different meanings depending upon the context. And he wants to know what's the meaning here. So let's go to the word for word. Truth. Now, truth, that can also have different meaning, like as opposed to false as true. But in this case, it means the basis and support and foundation of everything. The absolute truth.
Thank you.
Because that's also true. Anything else? Yes?
In the verse, Krishna is described as purest and also
It says what?
pure, supreme pure.
Purest.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also
Pavitra Param.
yeah. And also transcendental. So pure means not contaminated by modes, and transcendental also means beyond the modes.
Well, it means many things. Beyond anything that's temporary. That's another.
For transcendental.
Of the spiritual realm, that's transcendental. So its subset is pure, yes. And it's everything else that's transcendental is transcendental.
Oh.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, how would we convince someone about the authority of the Vedas?
Well, it depends on who they are. Some people you can't convince. But commonly, a method, it's not convinced, but it's strong. There's some persuasion, and that is greatest personalities they accepted the authority of the Vedas. And then he would list the great authorities that would accept the Vedas. Jiva Goswami does something similar but different. He identifies pramana, the means of knowing, and indicates, he takes the list of 3 and makes it 10, but it's actually 3, just expanded. That's sense perception, reason and logic and inference, and authoritative statements. And of the 3, the authoritative statements is the best. It goes through the procedure. So you eliminate, here's some options, you eliminate 2, there's 1 left. So then, he doesn't go very meticulously slowly because his audience is the right audience. But so, of the authoritative evidence, that which is infallible is best. The aparushaya, because persons have imperfect senses and they make mistakes. They have the contaminations of conditioned souls. So best is aparushaya, pramana. So what's that? Well, that's the Vedas. He doesn't dismiss other scriptures, but he just goes straight to the Vedas. The simple, if you want perfect knowledge, you have to go to a perfect person. You want imperfect knowledge? Just go to imperfect person, you'll get imperfect knowledge. You want perfect knowledge, you have to find perfect person. The logic is very simple. So what's that perfect person? And if you find that perfect person, you get perfect knowledge. That's what the Vedas. So, okay, well it's circular because according to the Vedas, that perfect person is Krishna. And so Krishna gives the Vedas, and so the Vedas are perfect. Circular reasoning. So there's some element of faith. But there's reason that says other sources of knowledge, they're fallible. So we just set them to the side. We reject them as means of knowing. So search. If you really want to know, then search. Jigyasa, Brahma Jigyasa. You have to inquire. If you don't have that inquisitive spirit, just want to argue, then you'll never know. So good luck. But we accept on the strength of great personalities they've done. There's other sources of knowledge to be rejected. We want the infallible source. So revealed scripture. That's the meaning. Or the language of Christianity at least is, the Bible is revealed scripture from God, revealing himself to people of this world. Of course, through persons. Through Moses and this and that. Through Christ. God is revealing himself. And otherwise they won't know. They have to accept some authority.
So the first step of faith is required from their side.
Well, faith is required just to live. But yeah, the faith that not without reason. We're using that which is fallible, reason, to reject reason. It's reasonable. And so then it's reasonable to say a perfect person can give perfect knowledge. So where's that perfect person? That's a good question. That's why to accept the... So how do I know Krishna is a perfect person? And that from him come the Vedas, and therefore I should accept the Vedas. That's a good question. That's the right question. So you're not going to know that Krishna is a perfect person if you don't want to know. You just want to argue, you won't know. And if you want to know, the means is given within the Vedas, and that's devotional service, begins with hearing. One of the best ways of convincing people is good character. Achar is more compelling than anything. Yeah. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. You mentioned knowing the position of Krishna, and if we are honest about it. Can you a little bit elaborate so that it helps us get there, Maharaj?
So it helps us get the point that I'm making, or helps us get there?
Helps us get more honest, or yeah.
Well, we're crooked. We're not straight. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. This body is a flag. Prabhupada calls it a flag. A flag says, guess what? I have aversion to Krishna. And it's we're flapping. Because otherwise I wouldn't get one. That's identifying. That's my disposition. I have this attitude toward Krishna, so I get the body. I want to enjoy independently of Krishna, so I get ritual body to enjoy independently of Krishna. Because he's the enjoyer. It's his energy, it's his. I want to be the enjoyer of his. I get a body. So that's the starting point. That's our disposition of heart, everyone. So we're crooked. And the honesty is the opposite. You know, I'm not really the enjoyer of Krishna's property, and for that matter, the expectation of enjoyment isn't matching reality. There's unwanted suffering, and here they are, boom, 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 boom. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi for starters, and then everything else that follows that. So, I'm not really the enjoyer, so somebody else is. There's logical steps that infer there is a higher authority. So now, who is that? Same question. Who is that higher authority? Who is that infallible source? I want to know. I want to be in my relationship with that infallible source. I want to know. And the way to know starts with hearing, and then the medium of service that follows that hearing. So to become more honest and less crooked, it starts with hearing for the right source and this desire I want to know. Jigyasa, inquisitiveness. So when Krishna declares, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam pravartate, it's very direct. I'm the source of everything. Everything comes from me. Iti matva bhajante mam. Iti matva bhajante mam. I guess your son is just terrifying. Iti madva, thus knowing, bhajante mam. So if we're crooked, we're not honest, we can hear, and we're really not going to understand, and therefore we're not going to become a devotee. So how do we understand? Bahunam jamanamante Gyanavan mam prapajate Vasudev sarvamiti Samahatma sadorlabha. So it may take a while. And even once we come to the position of rendering service, it may take a while. Because, we've got our attitude. I mean, we're devotees, and we also got our flag. We got our attachments to the temporary. And we're not seeing how to connect those things to the source. There's one sentence I wanted to, when I was upstairs reading the purport, then down again here. This, well, it's not jumping off the page. The removal of ignorance, which is what knowledge is, light is to reduce or eliminate darkness, depending upon the degree of light. And this is a dark place, so it's like we're crooked. We're in this dark place because we're crooked. So we need light in order to see. Otherwise, you can't see. Without electricity, till the sun rises, we're in darkness. Moonlight, electricity is a dark place. We're here because we're crooked. We wanted to. So, that tendency is very deep. So your question specifically is how to get beyond the crookedness. It's the hearing process with inquisitive spirit. Hearing from the right source with inquisitive spirit. Thus, iti matva, when you come to become Bahunam Janmanamante, Krishna is everything. What do you do when Krishna is everything? Engage in his service. It's just natural. The other is unnatural. supposing Bayahari and Indulekha get a phone call. You know, the mayor of Washington D.C. wants to come to the Bhakti Riksha program. Oh, and then so we make arrangements, and he comes, and we honor him. You know, it's just natural. I was on a flight in India somewhere, going from one place to another place, going from Jaipur to Delhi. That was it. And it was one of those little mini planes, regional jets, and there were 3 people all dressed up in, you know, devotional clothes. And so I figured out one of them is like a VIP. But it wasn't really clear who was the VIP. But it was, when we got off the plane, there was somebody waiting for him and, you know, handed him a flower. And so that was the VIP. So you honor the great person. It's just what you do. If you're dishonest, you don't. If you're sitting in a room and it just like, you may not even know who the person is, but this person that's very, very pious comes into the room. You feel something. Yes? And you know, there's attention goes and respect goes. So what to speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And if you don't become respectful and devoted, that's the crookedness. So how do we get uncrooked? We have to hear from the right source with the desire I want to know. It doesn't mean, you know, the very beginning we just have to like close our eyes and say, yeah, I believe. I'm saved because I believe. Take some time. Because we're stuck in this crookedness. Iti madva pajante mam. Uddhava samandita. Are we done? Indulekha, you have something?
No, Maharaj.
You want to serve prasadam? Okay. Well, one last question here. Okay.
Maharaj, one sentence in the purport.
One sentence in the purport.
One who understands that Krishna is the purest of the pure can become purified
Yeah.
from all sinful activities.
Yeah.
You touched on how when we associate with pure, we become pure.
Yeah.
But this one I didn't understand, Maharaj.
It's saying the same thing, just different language.
Oh.
It's speaking of understanding, but how do you understand? It's by associating with the one who's pure. That's how you can understand.
Thank you.
This question regarding, like we said that we are not the enjoyers, so how, then why we are the sufferers?
Why are there sufferers?
Because
Hey,
if
that's
I'm not enjoying, I should not.
That's a college question. If I ever And the answer is because we're in ignorance. What's the root cause of suffering? That's what I was looking for, that verse. The root cause of suffering is ignorance. And the original ignorance is ignoring Krishna. So we're suffering because we're ignoring Krishna. We're not the enjoyer because we're ignoring Krishna. But right in the purport, it says one should enjoy one's position of being Krishna's servant eternally. Right there. That's not a no-no. To be the enjoyer of your relationship with Krishna, it's a yes. And then you're no longer the sufferer. You are the enjoyer. Subordinate enjoyer of a loving relationship with Krishna. The other enjoyers were not the enjoyer. Is that all right? Yeah. You sure? Okay. Yeah.
Someone asked me this question about 10:11, the words Tesham Yavana Kampartam, that how Krishna dwelling in the hearts of the pure devotee removes the ignorance. the question they asked me was, what, they're already pure, why is there is ignorance?
The answer is residual tendency. Even for the pure, there may be residual tendency. What's the residual tendency? It's this, the Sanskrit word is abhinivesh. It's a tendency, a general tendency. Here's a practical example. Sorry to get graphic. Vomit. After there's vomit and you make the place clean, it still stinks. Residual. Having been so much involved in the material energy, after one becomes squeaky clean, there's still residual tendency. And Krishna personally checks that. He takes away that bad smell. Even after it's clean. Because he's the purest of the pure. Not just an air freshener. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Maharaj ki
Jai.